Alright everyone, today we are going to talk about the Vampire Kisses manga series. Now, it's been a while. I read the literature books, the novel books since back when I was like 12, I think. And now here I am a fully grown adult, and I'm just now getting to the mangas. But anyway, this is the Vampire Kisses stories are very simple, straightforward, and enjoyable. Now, this right here lets you know that it's romance oriented. So if you pick this up hoping for a very tense read about vampires, no. You're going to be disappointed and also you're done for not second. Also in the back here it says romance horror. I think that's a bit misleading. The romance, yes. Horror? What makes it horror? I'm sorry, but somebody say because of vampires, like so what? That by itself doesn't make it horrible. There has to be scary, intense moments, in my opinion, in order for you to label something horror. It does not. It's just a teen romance, and the love interest happens to be a vampire. Now, anyway, this story, the first book, we get to meet Alexander's cousin Claude. And I'm noticing that every character that comes across named Claude turns out to be a very douchebag. That's fine. Claude is still a million times more likable than the Claude from Black Butler 2. So up to good stuff. Now, Claude and his gang of vampires, they're all half vampires. Not in the same sense that Luna was. Well, just in another case, she has like some human blood running through her family. I guess he had like a mini great grandma or something who was human, and that's why she turned out human, even though everybody else in her family is a full-fledged vampire, including her own twin. So it was kind of like having a great grandma who was a redhead, and her kids and grandkids not to being both redheads, but somehow the great grandson ended up with red hair. Well, but not impossible. It's kind of like that type of scenario for her. Well, in Claude and his friend's case, they also straight up have vampires. I guess his mama is human. That's the loss of go with Susan. And his daddy's a vampire. So, as it turns out, there's these, what do I call it? These little liquids in a bottle. The Alexander's and Claude's grandma had hid this somewhere, and those vials can actually turn him into a food, but as a vampire. And there's this one scene where Claude's dad speaking to the grandma, saying, "How can you deny your grandson his birthright?" Which doesn't sound fair to me. Like, you're the one who chose to boink a human. You're the reason why he's only half vampire. So how exactly is the grandma denying him his birthright when he was naturally born half vampire? Is there a law to say your son has to be a full-blood vampire to inherit the title of Grand Duke or inherit whatever wishes you have? Like, what do you mean by denying him his birthright? I don't get it. It's not very much explained. So anyway, Alexander and Raven, they're at the graveyard having a picnic for the 1 millionth time. And like seriously, don't need to get bored doing that. Anyway, they end up finding like this little toy soldier. And says that like, oh, this belonged to my cousin. He must be here. And of course, Raven wants to help him find them. He tells her no, it's too dangerous, let him do it. She promises not to come, but as always, she breaks her promise. It comes. And Alexander, the dummy who never learns. So let's that happen. Like seriously, how many times do you guys go through this before Alexander knows that this girl never listens? And when this girl is gonna learn that it's probably a good idea to listen to her boyfriend every once in a while? She keeps doing the same thing over and over and over. I wish we would have a little more character development in that area. Also, I kind of feel like they dumbed her down a bit for the manga. Am I the only one who thinks that? Like, everything before, I feel like she was at least being a smart teenager. She was impulsive, but she was still think things through. But in the manga, no. This time she showed up to the graveyard with no garlic, nothing to defend herself from these half vampires that could probably easily kill her if they wanted to. And which is now reason why I think Raymond's dumb. Like, and the only reason why you feel no tension by reading this, despite her technically being thing, is because she's done this so many times before, and it's very clear that the vampires in this world are not going to hurt her. No matter how threatening they seem, you're already coming in with a bad night, they ain't gonna do crap to her. Because secretly, none of them are bad guys. They just got some type of resentment that they need to work through. For example, Dagger Luna, you were never truly worried that they were gonna hold Raven at any point. Valentine, I definitely wasn't worried about this little kid holding her. Or Billy Boy. We all knew nothing was going to happen. Anyway. So, let's see. Anything more mentioned? Anyway, nothing much happens. And here, basically, Claw is like a not a device, it's like a combination of Dagger and Luna smashed together. That's basically Claw. He's very resentful, Alexander, because they all are, for some reason. Now, book 2. In Anything significant worth missing out? Oh yeah, not really. They show up at the gang show up at Raven's school. Which, by the way, this is scene where Cat was like brushing her hair from the mirror. I was like wondering why. You can't see your reflection anyway. What's the point of you going to the mirror? So that you could out yourself? That was dumb. Now, book 3. Now, we all knew that Claude was ultimately going to end up going to the mansion while Alexander was away. That didn't caught me off guard. Though I was a little bit surprised by how they went about it. Like, we all knew he was showing up there, but I didn't expect for him to use treble as like they did like a switcheroo. The whole time Trevor was on upper Stacy pretending to be Claude. And also to the announce Raven and Alexander as the king and queen of the prom. When they finally realize, oh, that's not Claude. And then Cat came in with a spray bottle of garlic, spraying Alexander with that, causing him to fall into the coffin. And then he puts Raven in there and locked the coffin up. So I guess that means half vampires unaffected by garlic. Which brings up an interesting thought. Why did he even want to become full vampires? Like, yes, I get it, you got booty for not being food plus, but so what? There seems to be a lot more pros to being a half vampire versus all the pros of being a full vampire. Like, think about it. First of all, they could rock in the sun. Clearly, garlic doesn't affect them. I don't know if they will live for as long or stay useful for as long as the full vampires. So I can counter discount that. It is a scene where this a flashback of some vampires bullying them, and Carl's like, nope, we're not fighting to get over here, Rocco, we're running away. So either that's because they were outnumbered, or half vampires aren't as strong as full vampires. If that's the case, then that's one con. They can still drink blood if they feel like it. But I don't think they have to. So, one con, 3 pros. Why would you want to become full-fledged vampire? I don't get it. I think they got the better end of the deal. Oh yeah, they also suffer from you can't see the reflection. So that will out them as full-fledged vampires, even though they're not. That's so 2 cons, 3 pros. I would personally choose to stay a half vampire. But okay, they want this. Just so they could get on about the jokes who don't like them anyway. I don't get it. Well, anyway. So ultimately, they end up in the graveyard again. They find a box that has a vial in it. I said to discover that Raven kept the key. He's like, I told you not to do that. And then she starts crying, saying, I'm sorry. And they're like, promise me to keep no more secrets. which we both know she's not gonna keep that. She said yes, but we know she's lying. Those crocodile tears don't fool me for a second. I don't buy it. Anyway, so anyway, Claw ends up finding the box, opens it. Before that, of course, Waver became a handicap. She could stay hidden, but no, she had to out herself, which resulted in easily grabbing her and telling Alexander, okay, give us the box so your girl gets it. And so they're like, okay, which we could argue was secretly part of the plan the whole time, but I'm not fully convinced. I'm telling you, Raven's dumb. She's not the brightest tool in the set. Anyway, they open the box, they realize there's only one vial. And Carl has like a momentary panic and ends up beating everybody up. And they're like, hey, you promised we would do this together. Ultimately, Carl's like, forget it. I don't need this. If I can turn along with you guys, then this vial isn't worth having. And that by itself convinces Alexander to just give him the vial and let him know that one little sip is enough to turn all of them. Because you see, the whole time, the reason why the grandma would not give him the vial, it was because he's too emotional. So she doesn't trust him to handle the responsibility of being a full-class vampire with all the strength. He will probably end up beating everybody up, basically, and trying to hurt people. But since he proved that he cares about his friends at least, Alexander like, okay, maybe he can handle the responsibility. So yeah, they drank it all, and of course, Carl's like, hey, wait a minute, you want some? Because they're always, every single character, so it's always dangling that, hey, I can turn you vampire if you want. Alexander's not gonna do it. But she answers, of course, that is not how I want to be turned. Plus, I don't think Alexander will let that come anywhere near me. And Alexander's like, damn straight. Now, okay. So, all's well ends well. Now, the final manga, which is technically a standalone. We could argue it's a standalone. These are called blood relatives. I can see blood relatives not here anywhere. But ultimately it comes from me. The circumstances are right after this, so we can argue that it's technically the same thing regardless. But anyway, now that they're all for vampires, Trip wants to return to Romania immediately and show themselves off and gain the respect from these dogs that they shouldn't even care about. But Claude's like, nah, I want to stay here longer. So there's this Cinderella play, because it's almost always either Cinderella or some type of Shakespeare play in these stories. Kind of. So, and when Wavy gets hired to do all the costumes, so it turns into like a gothic version of Cinderella, which is kind of cool. A unique twist to it. And Claude gets Prince Charming. Alexander works on the set. And so. And of course, Castle does because Sassy got Cinderella. And she doesn't want any other girl anywhere near Claude. Because, of course, he likes him. And Trip had this amazing idea of thrusting Claw into biting into Tony Sassidy's to one of them so they could use it as a little breeding trophy of, oh look, see? We tunnel murder. Well, definitely we're best vampires now. You can't deny it. Whoopie doo. So he grabs a hostage locket, puts blood on it. His plan is to loosen it near the end of the scene, which by the way, it's a stupid plan. Like, you want everybody to see Claw bite into a girl, exposing you as the vampires to the human waste. Are you so dumb? Are you stupid? Apparently he is. Also, Claw should stop being friends with him for that, because that's kind of like the equivalent of a real life person pulling a roofie inside somebody's string. Like, it's the same thing when you think about it. I'm gonna put this inside your drink because I know it's gonna make it act all whoopy so that I could make it do what I want it to do. That's obviously the same thing, right? Well, anyway, when that happens, Claude, like, he understands, kind of understands what's happening. He's like, wait, something's not right here. He low-key tries to fight him, keep himself under control. Alexander realizes immediately what's going on, so apparently there's an extra costume conveniently laid out for him. Even though he's not part of it, he's a grassy entering, being like, oh, imposter press! And then wrestles crowd down to the ground, pushing him off the stage. And Raven gives Claude the locket so that he can calm down. And so the audience is a little confused by all this, but they just go with it. Oh yeah, Saturday ends up getting sold up, which is why Raven was playing Cinderella into his whole job. And so Raymond I said that's just staring happily at the front. Bing! And there's a scene of Trip going, we are leaving to Romania. We are going back. And Klaus like, yes, we will, when I say so. And there's just an answer like that. Like, I get the feeling that there was supposed to be more after this. Because that's not a satisfying ending by any means. It feels very open-ended, like the writer was obviously planning to make more but then didn't. And I don't like that. I don't like giving stories to get discontinued. Or leave you feeling like it isn't complete, at least. Also, I'm a little disappointed. Because when you look at the normal books and manga, so regardless if she was intensely made this the final one, it's very disappointing. Okay, I was hoping that the final book would be Raven getting married to Alexander and turning into a vampire. Or at the very least, just marrying Alexander and staying human. I would have been fine in a way. And apparently you can still have kids, even if she is a human, so the way I see it, she wins either way. But no, instead it answered them still being in high school and the relationship being exactly the same as they started out. No progression. Now you can argue the way of finding alone there, she should listen to Alexander more instead of being male mess up to what I want all the time and promise to never keep secrets. But like I said, I don't buy it. She'll do it again. That's another. I wish she will face real consequences for not listening to Alexander. Because it kind of. The first few times, okay, fine. But after a while, it gets annoying. Like, time, will you really want to be on a relationship with somebody who never listens to you under any circumstances? You tell them, no, that's dangerous, they do it anyway. 5 years later, you tell them, no, that's dangerous, and they do it anyway. You don't want to be in a relationship with people like that. So I wanted to see character development for Raven in that aspect of her maturing and realize that, yes, I do need to listen to him. And maybe not every single time, but every once in a while, yes. Majority of the time, you still listen to the person you're in a relationship with. That's just how the way it works. If you want to do everything your way, then just stay single. Well, oh yeah, her friend Becky. You know, the character who's basically irrelevant. Like, there's only one specific book which is kind of relevant to the plot because Alexander's friend has a crush on her. And that's a bit problematic because he doesn't have nearly as much self control as Alexander does. But every other time, every other book, Becky basically might as well just not be there, honestly. If you took her out, the storyline wouldn't really change all that much. It was just switched from Rayman at least got one friend to she has no friends, and it would not change the overall storyline at all. Like, her and Alexander will go on double dates anymore. Like, that's it. That's the ultimate effect of the story without Becky. Also, the artist is very inconsistent with her freckles. Like, in one panel, she'll have freckles, and then the next she doesn't. And Clark was purposefully designed to look like Alexander, just with a different hairstyle and a lip piercing at the end. Which, by the way, why do people do that? Can you imagine trying to kiss someone with a lip piercing? That can't be comfortable. It also can't be comfortable for the person wearing. Like, why do people do that? Doesn't that low-key make it harder for you to eat and speak properly? Also, why do you even want to be hold here or there or really anywhere to begin with? I don't understand body piercings whatsoever, especially when it's around the face area. Like, it just doesn't look comfortable, and it also looks icky. I know some girls are turned on by it. I don't understand it. Maybe it's sticky because they got like a bad boy fetish and they're socialized piercings would be a bad boy. Like, I don't know. So I think that's everything. Mm, Well, the art's good. So the artist changes each time. And you can tell, like they try to make it look simple, but you can notice like subtle little things to let you know this is a different artist. Like for example, the first two is carried done by Ram, and you can tell. Now I think Ram did all the book covers specifically, every single one, but I don't think she, when it comes to pages, she didn't do all that. She did the first two. Now this one is, like I said, you did a good job doing similar, but I noticed that the faces of the characters seems to be more round though. And right here, again, it's also a good job. I noticed that the drawing style, this person seems to make them a little more goofy looking. Not goofy as in bad, but a little more, something about it seems more cartoony, Western cartoony, yes. Like that. See that? It's more cartoonish. And actually, we will only look like this in this book. The more cartoonish, yeah. By here, it looks more anime-like. Don't you agree? Yeah, there you are. Very accent though. It looks more anime-like here. But the final one is more Western cartoony, yes. Which isn't bad. They're all good. It's all good. Just subtle differences. Let's see. Am I forgetting anything? I don't think I am. Well, overall, I say it's a good manga series. It's enjoyable. I recommend people read it. And well, that's about it. Goodbye, everyone.